What's up, everybody? Welcome to part one of our Gamescom wrap-up. I'm Damon Hadfield. Joining me here in Germany are Brandon Tyrell.
Howdy.
Daniel Krupa.
Hello.
Of course, Max Scoville.
How's it going?
Gentlemen, how is your show going?
Very well.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots of great games on the show floor. Lots of great games, behind closed doors demos.
Lots of people.
Lots of people.
Lots
Too many
of
people, if anything.
at the show.
This is a big show. This
Yeah,
is a very
yeah.
large show. It's impressive.
Now, I know there are 2 days of the show left. Is it too early to name Schnitzel of the show?
Oof.
I think if I have any more schnitzel of the show, I will just die.
Really?
I think I will be dead.
I don't know. I
There's-
think
I
you can
think-
handle some more.
It's
We'll
fried
find
pork.
out.
It's
Yeah.
a keel over.
It's good for you. We're going to talk about some of the biggest games we've seen so far. Why don't we start with one of the games that was announced here at the show that I think you saw, Brandon, Mafia Trace. I think it's the official,
Mafia Trace.
the official name for that one.
That is true. It is the Trace in the series. It is really, really interesting. Mafia has always been sort of about that Goodfellas kind of crime family. And Mafia 3 is totally rewriting the script on it. It's set in 1968 in the developer's version of New Orleans, so in the South. And it stars Lincoln Clay, who is a Vietnam War veteran and an orphan and half black and half white in a very racist part of the country in a very racist time period. So.
Okay.
He's, doesn't have a lot going for him, right? And he comes back, gets in with a gang. There's some gang warfare, and he loses the family that he created already. So now he's sort of on a rampage, as they say. And now he's rebuilding the mafia in the South.
And so is he starting his own mafia? Or
Yeah.
Is he joining an existing mafia?
Well, so he's sort of taking up the reins. He goes on a rampage and takes out the mob that took out his mob, right? And that kind of creates a power vacuum. And so
I got to talk to the studio head on this one too, or the creative director, or whatever. And I'm really impressed. It looks really interesting. It's the character from Mafia 2 is one of your lieutenants.
Yeah, Vito.
Yeah, he shows up, and
that's
it's
cool.
Oh, so there is a thread going through them.
yes.
Okay.
It's unclear exactly how solid that's going to be, or if it's going to be.
he actually said it was going to play. Vito was going to play a pretty large role in the story.
So I've got a terrible confession. I've never actually played a Mafia game. And it's because it's not a
I think it's
heavily
okay.
iterated series. The first one was quite a long time ago.
The first one came out
2002?
2002, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the most well-reviewed Czechoslovakian game ever, I think.
Yeah, it's
that a real thing?
Yeah,
It's a country that doesn't exist anymore.
It
but
was. It was developed by
I'm dumb.
Illusions.
You live near there. I'm like, we have a
It's
globe
now
in my
Slovakia
classroom.
and the Czech Republic. Welcome to Europe.
Well, Czech, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it was
Check that
Illusion
off on the
Softworks, in which became 2K Czech, and now it's being developed by Hangar 13. So, right here in California. We're not in California right now. We're in
Not
Germany.
right here, yeah. Not at the moment.
We're all in pretty good shape in terms of our geography on this one.
Yeah. All
No,
over
I
the
think
place.
one thing that's really interesting here is it's like clearly a very gritty, dark story, but
And
the
brutal. Yeah.
gameplay is kind of goofy and arcadey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, he
it's-
just jumped over a fire truck.
Like the
so-
car is like a weapon. Like
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's one thing I saw. We got an extended look at it, and everything is a weapon. He brings his knife back from the Vietnam War and uses that to pretty good effect. And
Memories.
oh my God, it's just the takedowns are brutal, and it looks like a really, really super gritty return to like the open world sort of crime game.
So, Daniel, if you never played the previous Mafia games, are you interested in this
Yeah,
one?
because I think the way they set up with this, it feels like, even though they're calling it 3, it feels like a soft entry, a soft reboot. It's like, yeah, there's a couple of connections for people. If you're a big Mafia fan, you kind of get a kick. But I feel like I can jump into this.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've never played a Mafia game. I looked up the story of the past ones. That's where I got that incorrect trivia about Czechoslovakia.
I feel bad about it now.
Yeah.
I've
No, I know the commenters would have been vicious.
Oh,
But,
yeah,
it's like,
that one's so
I do
brutal.
like
Knife to the
you
face.
confirmed me to an IGN comment.
it's a good time frame. It's like we've don't really. I can't think of any. Like there was the GTA in London that was in the 60s.
Yeah.
But like there
Yeah.
aren't a lot of
Yeah.
60s set games that aren't just Vietnam War games. So to
Yeah.
do like one that's kind of post-Vietnam is interesting.
And they really do pull everything from the time period in. I mean, the muscle cars, the music, like
Oh, yeah.
just listening to the radio, it was like All Along the Watchtower and Fortunate Son, and like these painted black and these really, really like sort of quintessential 70s, 60s sort of Vietnam War period songs. So they really kind of pull everything together really well.
All right, so that's Mafia 3. Another game that we had sort of had its coming out party here at the show was a game that was announced at E3 last year, and then it had its gameplay debut with Scalebound, big Microsoft exclusive from Platinum Games. How are we feeling about that one?
Can I say the really stupid thing I keep saying?
Say the stupid thing.
They said it's their biggest game yet, and if the demo is any indication, Scalebound is not bound by scale one bit.
Yeah.
It looks like a big game.
Max scale.
It looks huge. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Here all week for the rest
Why
of
they
the
don't
week.
let me write things.
That's true. It's action RPG.
Yes.
Platinum Games' first action RPG.
Which they do very well.
Well, they do action, we know. Yeah,
Yes.
now they're going to throw some RPG elements. I find that RPG elements usually improve a game. There's very few instances where they make a game worse.
I agree almost entirely. Yeah.
So you play, your character Drew is a human from our world. For some reason, you get sent to this other world.
Sucked
you make
in.
your best buds with this dragon.
I think his name is Tibone. So thereabouts, somewhere
Is that the
thereabouts.
dragon's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you guys are fast friends
You guys are bound together. You have this like dragon arm now.
from some kind of scale.
Yeah. And he's gonna fight alongside you. He's gonna take orders from you, actually.
Yeah,
You
so-
can tell him where to go, who to beat up.
Yeah, it's I mean, right here, he's telling him, Dragon, yep, do that, and he does. So there is an upside and a downside to doing this, though. Right now, Drew's going into Dragon form where he becomes like super high-powered and can take a lot of damage. But there's an upside and a downside. If you kill enemies yourself, you can sort of kind of use their corpses as resources. You get gems that you use to unlock and upgrade stuff. But if you tell your dragon to destroy stuff and he annihilates it, you actually don't get those resources. So there's sort of an upside and a downside to doing it yourself.
I guess that makes sense. And we're seeing, numbers fly out of people when they take damage.
Sure. It does have that sort of arcadey feel. I mean, yeah, it's a fantasy game, but he's wearing headphones. So,
Yeah.
there's that fun arcade feeling to it
Beat
as
'em
well.
ups by Dre.
Yeah.
One thing
actually really good.
they showed off that's got 4-player co-op. Didn't really touch on it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just sort of announced that it's a thing.
Yeah, so what I've pieced together from talking to various people is that there's a lot of customization for the dragon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it a dragon? Are we allowed to say dragon, or are they like? The
Yeah, they
beast
said
or-
dragon.
No, it's a dragon.
They're saying dragon.
Just want to check, but yeah, you customize the dragon. You pick what it's going to do and what it's going to do. But like, you're playing as Drew. Like you're one character there.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that going to come into play in like co-op?
Well, the customization on your dragon, from what I saw during the demo, is actually pretty robust. Like you can change the skin of it, you can change the I think the patterns of it as well. You can buy armor for it, and you can also like tailor and kind of customize the evolution of your dragon. So if you want its tail swipe to be stronger, you can actually evolve its tail to be like a stony tail, and then when it swings, it does more damage, right? And you can evolve the wings and the crown on its head and all that stuff. So. From the trailer that we saw where the other players kind of are morphed into the dungeon, right, and that was the co-op reveal, it looked like all the dragons were a little different. Some had tusks, some, were smaller but more nimble. So I think
Yeah, but I mean, like the dude you're playing. I don't know. I guess it's just.
Oh yeah, the dude you're playing. I have no idea how
Yeah,
they're
that's
how
kind
they're
of
gonna.
odd. This is an awesome monster.
Yeah, that's what I'm actually stoked for this game. You have a huge dragon friend. He's going to fight giant enemies, and the world has to be big enough to sort of fit all these giant monsters inside it. So I think it's going to be a gigantic world. Kamiya-san was telling me that the whole inspiration was that he really likes dragons, but dragons are so often perceived as evil or as bad guys. And he wanted to make a game where your dragon's a good guy.
He's a big fan of Dragonheart.
Yeah.
I actually like the monsters that are teased at the end of the trailer. There's like a basilisk as well, or kind of like a Hydra creature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
giants.
there's looking to be really cool creature design in this. I'm a big fan of them.
It looked like sort of a dungeon boss. This is the scrapping the enemy's corpses for rewards. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This looks great.
All right, so that's Scalebound. How are we feeling about Star Wars Battlefront? Here at the show, they announced what's the flight squadron mode? What's the flight mode?
The one where you fly the ships.
The one where you fly ships mode.
Yeah.
That's what they
I
announced.
like. You can't be like, here's the official terminology for this mode, and then be like, here's the Millennium Falcon. You're not going to remember that first part. You're going to be like, that's the Millennium Falcon, and it's Han Solo talking.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I mean, people were really upset that there wasn't like.
Yeah,
Space
so there aren't
space
space battles, but
yeah.
now in
Yeah.
this is an aerial battle mode, but it's in atmosphere.
Sure.
It's like on the planet. Well, you think that'll appease the gamers out there that were upset that they didn't have space battles? Or are they unappeasable?
I mean, you're always going to have that hardcore group that really wants space battles, but I think people that want dogfighting in a Star Wars universe, this is what you're going to buy Battlefront for.
Yeah, and also like I played this demo a few times, and it's not like you're fighting in a very linear fashion across a single plane. It feels like space combat to a degree. There's verticality.
Yeah, you can see
you're
right
losing
here, yeah.
bearings. Sometimes you're emerging through the mist, and you realize you're hurtling towards the ground. And you have to like elevate yourself quickly. So it's not set against the stars, but it feels kind of like space
Sure.
combat. They're not like going through canyons and stuff.
And this is a separate mode. Is that what we understand from the on the ground mode?
Yeah, and this what's really cool is it feels epic because if you don't have enough people, the other fighters are controlled by AI, so it feels like a really busy battlefield at every moment, and the AI characters are kind of easier to take down.
Yeah, that's one thing I always liked about Battlefront is that even if you're terrible at it and everyone else, the actual humans are off messing each other up, like you feel kind of like you're part of something.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's good that they're carrying that over to the ships. I was saying this. I interviewed one of the guys from DICE about this, but I realized that this is like the amount of ships that we're used to seeing in like prequel dogfights, but it's with the ships that we really like from the original trilogy.
Well, so you also talked to them about those key sound bites. Like from Han Solo.
So I mean, basically the character. Like the Falcon, the Slave One shows up at the end. I don't know if there are any. I imagine Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. But they're basically like the equivalent of the hero characters you play as in the regular mode. So presumably, you get in the Falcon, or you get the power up that lets you become the Falcon, and then you get a nice Han Solo sound effect.
Because I asked the producer at DICE about the balancing of that, because the Millennium Falcon's really powerful, but what's quite interesting, it kind of naturally balances out, because once the Millennium Falcon turns up, because it's so distinctive, everybody focuses their attention on the Millennium Falcon, because everyone wants to take down Han Solo.
Yeah.
So it kind of naturally balances out because of the way people react to that ship.
Huh.
So I thought it was pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to fly Slave One.
That's the one you want to play?
Yeah, they're holding that back, yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to talk. I'm like, let me talk about Boba Fett. I'll do that.
So I got to play Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I got to play through Tomb. And I loved it. It was great. It was super fun. They showed another demo at the Microsoft briefing, but it was another like sort of action combat demo. I don't know why they think that's the best thing to show on stage. They don't think people will tomb raiding an actual puzzle.
Maybe it's
solving will hold
slower,
people's
it's less,
attention. I don't know, but I think that's what people want to see.
In a sizzle reel, I think that's probably what it. But I was actually a little taken back when I saw Laura just like it's stealth actioning it up, right?
Yeah.
Like sneaking through the water and then coming up from behind someone and like burying her knife into their chest. I was just like, whoa.
So doesn't she like cry when she kills a deer in the first one or
Yeah.
something?
Oh, that's in the first hour, but then she slaughters
Well,
thousands of
like,
dudes.
She's full on like Nathan Drake at this point.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Oh,
like
yeah.
she's
Oh,
jumping
yeah.
on dudes and stabbing them in the neck and
Yeah,
stuff.
she's totally a mass murderer.
What
but
was the tomb you saw like? I'm really curious
so
about this because
that actually took place in Syria. So it was in a totally different environment. It was in the desert, and you've been led there because you have all these voice recordings left by your father, and they seem to point to this area in Syria. So you go there, you find the location of the tomb. You have to like shimmy your way in through one of those really narrow tunnels, and it's a scene like it's a very Indiana Jones-ish scene where like bugs and
it had the
scorpions
scorpion going
are
in the
crawling
skull?
out. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, crawling all around there. And then there's lots of water-based like physics-based puzzles. Where you have to turn on a faucet to raise the water level so you can reach a different ledge, things like that. I think it was if you remember the sizzle reel from E3, then they showed a montage of different scenes. They showed that scene of the water flooding over the gates of this like underground city, and I think it was in that section, although they didn't let me play all the way to the end. And then there's trap avoidance. I stepped on a trap, fell into a spike pit, and a spike went up through the bottom of my jaw and up the top of my head. So
That was,
those are back in there.
Okay,
the old
Did you-
spike in the jaw.
It's one of those games where I feel like if you're previewing this game, you should try to die a few times.
Yeah, you wanna die,
Did
yeah.
you die more than that at all? Or?
No, I just did that one time.
Okay.
But it definitely was like, whoa, it's hardcore. It looks really hardcore.
I remember with the first Tomb Raider, we did a sizzle reel of all the ways Laura could die, and it is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because we're monsters.
Can be pretty
I
gruesome.
actually played the other Lara Croft game here at Gamescom, which is really good. It's Lara Croft Go.
Oh, the
which
new
is
one
like the
for
Hitman.
iPad. Oh, cool.
And I think a lot of people were kind of took back the fact that she was killing lots of men in very violent ways, and Hitman Go took Hitman back to the kind of essentials of the series, and Lara Croft Go kind of does the same, which is all about her facing the environment. There's not a single human enemy in the game, so maybe if you want a bit more of that kind of puzzle fix, that's kind of got
Go
you
play an
covered a bit more.
iPad, wuss.
Right?
Xbox is for killing dudes.
I think that's the strap play.
No, that's good to hear because I really liked Hitman Go.
Yeah, it's really good. It does, and it looks beautiful as well.
So, anyway, Rise of the Tomb Raider does plan to put more of the tomb raiding back into the game, and what I played here at the show, I really enjoyed it. Now, Metal Gear, Max.
Yeah,
You gotta check out
so
some Metal Gear
is
today.
one of those games it's kind of what I feel like kind of what Arkham City was during EA or Arkham Knight, because it was like it's just right around the corner, like they could give out copies of the game probably, but why would they? They're trying to build up hype. They've started showing off some real like kind of end game stuff, like kind of different approaches to the same missions while still keeping any kind of campaign story stuff pretty tightly under wraps. They put up this kind of demo walkthrough. We did a similar one that was partially live. We had to cut to recorded footage because they basically did the thing where somebody else invades your base, and the whole time you're doing the kind of the mother base thing. It's called your frontward something. It's got a is it FOB? It's your customized part of mother base that your friends can invade, kind of a la Dark Souls, and you can play as any of your dudes or ladies, whichever. And they showed off like some of just really, really cool stuff you can do. You can have mines that have sleep gas. So basically, like if somebody, if you trigger it, you get knocked out, and if you knew where your enemy was at that time, suddenly they're off your radar. Like a lot of this is you tag your enemies, and you know, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, and you can kind of see where they are. That's basically how you can. I mean, so much of Metal Gear is always kind of outsmarting the AI, and in this case, it's actually like PvP, and you're so the thing that blew my mind is like you're playing as Big Boss, yeah? Like the whole thing is you're kind of becoming a villain in this one. The other version of Big Boss that was invading this base was wearing the classic Solid Snake sneaking suit. And I was like, I'm playing as a boss. I'm playing as the boss like just click, like
you've lived long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's bizarre because you're playing kind of both sides of it, and you're simultaneously playing as the boss, but also playing as the hero invading other people's bases because you're trying to, steal their stuff, basically. I got confirmation on one thing that I'm just incredibly happy about. So you can Fulton basically anything in this game. You can steal a Jeep or a horse or a sheep or whatever. You can Fulton a bear. Yep. And this is basically teleporting Scorpion's harpoon, but it's like Jehudi's hand or something. That seems like something you get very late in the game. You can Fulton a bear and bring it back to your base.
And then, what do you do?
I don't know.
Then life is awful.
That's the first thing I want to do. I think that basically if somebody tries to invade your base and there's a bear there, they're going to have to fight the bear.
Everyone who lives on the base hates you.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Is the bear going to kill my dudes? Like, what is the bear going to do on the base? I like this because they're showing off all the weird, silly stuff that I think gives kind of Metal Gear its personality. And I was worried sick when I played Ground Zeroes, and it didn't even have a box in it, And it's like this is the part where they're like they've kind of hyped up all of the more serious mechanics, and now it's close enough to release that they're like, you can have inflatable decoys that you throw,
So is this intruder mode a 1 versus 1 mode?
Yeah, it's not even the same as Metal Gear Online. This is it's vaguely I would say kind of XCOM-ish, like you're basically organizing your own base and managing your own assets, except people can. It's like when somebody invades your outpost in Far Cry. It's like one of your outposts is under attack and you have to go protect it. Yeah. You can be on a mission and you'll have to basically go back to your own base and deal with this, and it's in real time with some actual person out there who's trying to mess with your stuff.
Did they talk about the objectives of invading a base? Like, what's your goal?
You're just trying to gather assets, like you're stealing other people's things. Gotcha. You're trying to steal their bear.
You're their bear.
Yeah.
That's the real prize.
So it seems like there's going to be a lot to this game.
This game looks massive. I'm kind of dumbfounded at the scale of it. They had I think it was a half-hour demo that they put up on some official Konami channel, and it's just like, this is going to keep us busy a while. And it's all like they've shown off like the orange base, but you can have like a neon pink base. You can put up anime posters. There's just diamonds scattered around if you want to find them. Like there's just like, what is this game? Like it's a lot of different things in one place. Yeah. You will get BO if you don't shower. You go out in the field and there's like a shower that you have to use, and if you don't go into the shower and like wash yourself regularly, you'll come back to base and all your troops will be like, hey boss, and then Ocelot will come up to you and throw a bucket of water on you and be like, Snake, you stink. I'm not making this up. This game is ridiculous. Yeah. Like it's all of the Kojima weirdness we've really, really wanted, and we're finally getting to see it, and we get to play it soon enough. So couldn't be more hyped.
Brandon, what do you think?
I'm sort of tangentially related to the Metal Gear series. I've played them on and off. Yeah. It's been a while since I finished one, like start to finish. Me too.
But I think this is one I'm more excited for this one than I have been for a Metal Gear in a long time.
Yeah, for anything.
Even if you're one of those people who doesn't, give a crap about the story and doesn't try to keep up with it, I think this is going to be fun enough that it's kind of worth playing through.
Yeah, and I mean, just how are you not impressed by this, right? Like just the breadth of things to do. He's rewinding time right now. Like
I think that was After Effect, but
okay.
They did that in post, but this is showing kind of different perspective. That's the thing
Oh, that's the teleporter.
Yep. And then you can and it has towards you. You can also like you normally.
Is this
you know,
where he inflates him with a balloon?
Yeah, and there's an upgraded version of that where you open up a portal and they get sucked into nothing. Like you open up a little wormhole, and I was just like,
And that's how you win?
yeah, and it's yeah,
Put the bear in the wormhole.
it's yep,
Yeah,
That's
can
the
you put the
solution.
bear in
I,
the wormhole?
I think so. Like that's the thing. Is this is one of those games that it's like it's kind of what Metal Gear's always been like. Is it sort of it thinks kind of 2 steps ahead of the player, and it's like you're going to try to do this, you know. Like if you plugged it back in the first Metal Gear Solid, if you plugged in a controller that had like a turbo button on it during the you know the interrogation scene, like you'd get called out on that. You know, they'd read your memory card and be like, oh, you like Castlevania? That's cool. We also make that game. But like this is a massive giant version of all that, and I love it.
Before we go, Krupa, you saw Dark Souls 3?
Yes, I got to play it for a little bit. You played it as well in
Yeah,
California last week.
I played it for about 90 minutes.
Yeah, and I love those games. I think it's weird that it's Dark Souls 3 when for me it feels like it's Dark Souls 2. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like Miyazaki's coming back.
Yeah.
And he's never really made a sequel to a game, and his whole thing about he likes players to like dwell in ambiguity.
Yep.
He doesn't want to. He likes people to speculate on his game. So for him to like return to like locations like Analondo, and in this gameplay trailer that they showed during the Microsoft conference has the dark sign, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
In Dark Souls lore. So it's like he's going to go back and maybe clarify some of that stuff.
Yeah, I really do. I 100% agree with you. I feel like this is the sequel to the original Dark Souls.
I think Dark Souls 2 was there to kind of keep the brand ticking over, and obviously it made a lot of money.
Sort of satiate the need for another Dark Souls. But I played it for a while. There are dragons lying all over the place. It looks like there are corrupted, just worshipping things.
Interlocking environments, which is a big thing.
Yeah,
a big trait.
everything is so dense and windy, and there are.
Because Miyazaki plots the entire environments by hand on paper. And Dark Souls 2, one of the kind of recurring criticisms was it didn't have that interlocking 3-dimensionality of design. It was kind of like a spoke and hub design. So I think like all the things I like most about Dark Souls are coming back in Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, and it is really dense and tangly. One of our other editors, Chloe, played it with me, and we were comparing notes on where shortcuts were, like how we got to bosses. And she found some I didn't, and I found some she didn't. And so even in the first level that was very reminiscent of the Undead Burg from Dark Souls 1, it was just really, really dense.
There is that question, though. What is Dark Souls now in a post-Bloodborne world? Is it still its own thing?
It feels quite familiar, because the base combat, even though we kind of talked about what's different about Bloodborne, it's faster and stuff, a lot of the elements are very consistent, just the way that he designs games. So getting another kind of this game very close after it, it doesn't make it feel less special, but it's not as distinctive as it used to be. Like a Miyazaki game came along very infrequently. But it's amazing that he was doing those 2 projects simultaneously.
Did you get a sense of what like mechanically they're doing different? Is there any kind of like shiny new gimmick
There's
that they're carting out, or is
something
it
called
kind of
battle arts? So for every sword you have, like I think Dark Souls as a series is the game that makes feel sword combat really good. It feels like you're wielding a sword. It feels detailed. It feels analog in a way. They're doing this thing called battle arts, which you can like modify attacks by holding swords in different ways.
Yeah, so you can sort of it's sort of a stance. It's a
Nice, it is that.
Yeah.
It's a stance that you get into,
on that note.
and then depending on your weapon, you can do special attacks with it. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think that brings us to the end of our first day of coverage here at Gamescom. Thank you, Brandon, Daniel, and Max. That's the end of day 1, but we're going to be back here tomorrow, bringing you more game demos and then another Game Scoop wrapping up the whole day. So everybody get a good night's sleep. We'll see you back here tomorrow.